What's up, y'all? It's your boy eBay. Fight predictions in the building here. I'm gonna be talking about Kamaru Usman versus Gilbert Burns. This is the breakdown for the fight for the UFC 258 main event for the welterweight title of the world. Man, it's a really interesting fight. I really went in depth with this breakdown. I watched I watched their last five fights, but then I looked at some other fights where I think it kind of helps when you look at the matchup. But one of the first fights I saw, well, actually, let's not get to that. Let's talk about the stats. Kamaru Usman is obviously the champion of the division. He's 17-1. Fights out of Florida. Right now, he's not fighting out of Florida. He's actually fighting out of Denver with I forgot the guy's name. Justin Gaethje's coach, Trevor Whitman. That's his name. Trevor Whitman. I almost forgot his name. Age 33. Height 6 foot, and it reaches 77.5, which is super interesting. Gilbert Burns comes as the number 2 welterweight in the world, 19-3, fights out of Brazil, fights out of Florida, age 34, height 5'10", and it reaches 71. So really, the height, yeah, it kind of does matter a little bit, but Usman, his reach is what really is going to dictate this fight. He comes in there with a 6-inch reach advantage, which is interesting. He's always had that advantage over a lot of his opponents, which is insane, man. He has a great frame for the welterweight division. But so now let's look at their fights. So one of the fights I looked back at that really helps me really look at Gilbert Burns, and kind of this matchup was the Warlley Alves fight. If you remember in the Warlley Alves fight, I mean, Usman looked amazing in there. There were some problems. There were some things I didn't like. The way, Usman has a stiff arm jab, basically. His stiff, I know some people called it trash. I remember Masvidal, he had made this post saying that I apologize to Ben Askren. Usman officially has the worst striking in the welterweight division. But, that, even you can say whatever you want about it, it is a great weapon he uses. It's such a stiff arm jab, but the problem is I noticed Warlley Alves was really able, he did a really good job of kind of like pairing the jab and throwing the overhand, and that's something like Burns is great at, man. His hooks are, deadly, and he can throw a good overhand when he needs to. And that was something that was actually interesting. But Warlley Alves, really accomplished guy in jiu-jitsu. You see what he did to Colby Covington, submitted him. You see what he just did recently to Manor Lazez. He looked great in there. He threw a lot of body kicks at Usman. Usman didn't really grapple. He grappled him once. But yeah, his jab is what dictated that fight, man. His jab. He had his way with him in the clinch, and everything he did in that fight, he was phenomenal. It's just Usman's striking is somewhat underrated, low-key. Like, he's not that bad, but he's not that good. When I first saw Usman, I thought he was kind of reminded me a little bit of Derek Brunson at the time. I was like, he kind of throws with his chin out the air. He kind of swings a lot. He's a bit of just like a power wrestler, not a lot of technique, a lot of just explosion, strength, just being bigger than the other person. That's what I noticed about him. But, it is what it is. But I give him a lot of respect, and then we go to the 5 fights I really looked at. I feel like these 5 fights is really kind of legitimize them as, top welterweights in their division. But we start off with Usman's fight with Damian Maia. I was really I felt some type of way about the first round. The way Usman kind of got away with I think I forgot the referee's name, but it wasn't Mark Goddard, I know that, but I felt some type of way about it. I'm not gonna lie. Damian Maia had his back. I know it was a weird spot, and obviously he could have probably stopped them or like separated them, because I do believe there wasn't enough action being done. And but man, like when he told Damian he has to do something and he did it, and he still separated it, like I don't know how refereeing works, but I feel like it's based on commands, and and you got to see action. If someone's giving you action, you got to let them go with it. But Usman kind of escaped with that one, but and I was like shocked by that. It is what it is. I'm not gonna be too mad about it. He got it done. But one thing I found really impressive again is his jab, man. And he didn't really take Damian Maia down. Actually, I felt like, I know they say Usman has, I think, never been taken down in the UFC. There was a wrestling scramble where I did see his butt hit the floor. It was quick, but Usman did. Hey man, Damian Maia got under those hips. But really, he did a good job with his takedown defense. I mean, he had great moments. Again, his jab, and obviously his stiff arm jab is so good. Because it's not like a peppering jab that you see from everyone. It's almost like pushing you, and it does a good job of hiding his two. And the way he kind of uses stiff arm jab to like throw that too, he dropped Damian Maia. It's a good thing. You can say Damian Maia just fell on purpose to pull guard. It is what it is. To me, I think it was scored a knockdown. It ended up being a knockdown. So I was actually really impressed by how he was able to do that. But yeah, it wasn't a great performance. I remember watching this live. I was like, man, this guy is not legit. Like, I just kept saying it to myself, and I ended up, he ended up proving me wrong. But he ends up fighting Rafael dos Anjos on the Ultimate Tough finale, and I picked him to win the fight. I kind of felt like, Dos Anjos had a hard time with Colby Covington. That's another wrestler, so I felt like, but I cannot stress you to say this. I know this might be controversial, but I feel like this was his best performance. I mean, maybe it's Dos Anjos, is a smaller guy, and it is what it is, and we can't really judge it. But man, everything he threw at Dos Anjos was crisp. Like, there were moments where he got sloppy, but he went for takedowns. He looked phenomenal. He was pressing the action. That was the best Kamaru Usman I've ever seen in the main event scene. That's when I stopped comparing him to Derek Brunson. Obviously, I get it. Some of you guys got mad at me for saying that a while back. Not you guys, but some of my homies got mad at me. They're like, how is he like, Derek has power. This guy doesn't have power. And you can say that. But I kind of feel like, in terms of technique and the way he throws punches and the way he goes for takedowns, that's how I compare. This one, he separated himself from Derek. His takedowns were clean. Everything he did was just super technical. The way he threw punches were technical. Like, I give him a lot of credit for this performance. He looked amazing. There were moments where he just he just went off. Like, Dos Anjos became a punching bag. Dos Anjos had cool moments in there. He had went for a Kimura lock. This is something to look for the Gilbert Burns. What Dos Anjos did off bottom. But when I look at this fight against Dos Anjos and Usman, Dos Anjos is a really good kind of like, I don't want to say, I could be wrong, right? I could be wrong. I'm not going to lie. But Dos Anjos is a good representation of what, a Brazilian guy with a good jiu-jitsu and good striking would do against Usman. I don't think you can compare Dos Anjos to Gilbert. They're two different people. They kind of have two different styles, but they're somewhat similar. And we saw, Dos Anjos has some success on the bottom, and Dos Anjos isn't really known as a bottom guy. He's a top guy, so it's a little different, obviously. And Burns, obviously, I feel like Burns is more of a top guy too, but he has some submissions off his back. I think he armbarred Oliveira right off his back, Cowboy Oliveira, the Brazilian one. I think so. I might be wrong about that, but he had a moment where he got a really good Kimura lock. He got a good transition, and he got off bottom and sweeped Usman. And he had Usman on his back for a little bit. So I think 4 seconds or some craziness like that. But that was impressive. But yeah, man, he looked amazing, and especially I think in the 4th or 5th round he was walking him down, and he kind of wanted to finish Dos Anjos. You could tell, and that's what really won him the title shot. That performance right there, he kind of solidified himself as the best welterweight on the planet. I in my honest opinion, I was like shocked how good he did. And then I remember I was watching Anatomy of the Fighter and the build up and the way he was talking and stuff like that. I was like, all right, whatever. This guy is saying this and that. He's saying that he's gonna perform. He's gonna show what what he's about. He's gonna make the days where he used to be in the wrestling rooms grinding worth it, right? He said stuff like that. And man, did he made it worth it, man. I might be crazy, but I was incredibly impressed by this performance. He looked amazing in here. And then he fights Tyron Woodley, right? I'm not gonna lie, I picked Tyron Woodley to win this fight. I'm not gonna lie to you. I felt like Tyron was gonna play the bigger brother. I thought Tyron's wrestling accolades are higher than Usman's, and I felt like they would play a part. And him working with Ben Askren, especially during that fight week, they were kind of like promoting that kind of like Ben and T Wood connection. I felt like he was gonna do good, and he went out there and dominated Woodley, and I feel like he doesn't get enough credit for this performance. I think he still did the best. I know some people might disagree with me, but he didn't beat Woodley necessarily in the striking, right? But he dismantled Woodley in the wrestling like we've never seen before. Like now it's like we're so used to seeing it because we've seen Colby do it, and we've seen kind of Gilbert do it a little bit, but he was the first one to do it. And I feel like if you're the first one to do it, I feel like you deserve all the credit, low key, the way he was able to take down Woodley, and not just take him down, just kind of impose his will. The way he was able to level change for those takedowns was just, I give him a lot of credit. And then he mounted Woodley. That was nuts. He mounted him. I was impressed by that. And then I think it was in the fourth round, he kind of just stopped caring and he started swinging with Woodley. Woodley has these hammers in his hands, right? He has these nukes in his hands. You've seen what he did to Darren Till right before, and he went in there and went to war with Usman, and like in that moment, and he lost, and Usman kind of won. And then Usman was like, you know what? I'm not gonna get knocked out or clipped, and kind of waste all the work I've done. And he just went for the clinch, and he broke him, man. He broke him. I think Woodley tried his best in that fight. Actually, no, I'm not going to say that. I don't know. I don't know. Actually, I don't know if he did. But I feel like if you search up Champ Camp, Woodley's YouTube page, and like, hey, it's all on there. If you think Woodley didn't try or Woodley didn't show up, like, go watch Champ Camp, and especially for the Usman fight or Usman Camp or whatever. And check out how hard he worked for Kamaru Usman, and tell me he didn't work hard or something like that, or he just showed up for a check. No, I don't think he did that. But, it is what it is. And then he takes a whole year off, Usman. Let's not forget that. And he fights my boy Colby Covington. This was a sad night for me. I'm not going to lie. I was pretty sad about this this fight. He put a number on my boy, man. Obviously, my boy had great moments. And again, I stress this again, y'all. Dude, Colby Covington landed shots on Usman. And, if Gilbert has, like, that kind of success, man, especially in that first round, like, Colby is not a knockout artist. And I wouldn't call Gilbert necessarily a knockout artist, but he has power, man. He has pop. He has something like, hey man, he hurts people. Like he does have straight up walk off KOs. That's on his record. But but what Usman was able to do to the body, man, his body work was amazing. Like maybe like 4 times I could like count in my head that he went to the body in one particular round. Like especially in that second round, that's where he really kind of leveled the playing field. I felt like he lost the first, the second. Originally, when I first watched it, I had it. I'm not gonna lie, I'm biased, and I like Colby. When I was watching the fight, I had 3-1 Colby. I've rewatched that fight a whole, maybe like I think this was my 5th time watching it. There's a debate that it could be made that it was. I can see people saying 2-2, and some people had a 3-1 Usman, and I don't have a problem with that. That's their opinion. They're entitled to that. But yeah, man, I was, dude. He landed a crazy body shot at the end of that second round, and I was like, oh my God. And the body work, he just put it. And in the third round, that was probably one of his best rounds, besides, I guess, the 5th, right? But he broke his fucking jaw. Again, I'm telling y'all, Colby had so much success, and Colby had like a similar, I think he had like a 72-inch, he had a similar reach to Gilbert. What Colby did, and obviously Gilbert has to look at this, he was able to have success in the inside. He was able to pivot and use lateral movement you know, like switch angles and all that to try to get inside and throw hooks, right? And he had so much success there, you know, especially he had success when he was timing Usman, when he was gonna go to the body and throw either, you know, a rear hook or, you know, a straight right, you know. But Usman, you know, when he's on the outside and he has that stiff arm jab, he tooled Colby and he hit him with, oh my God, he hit him with a good right. He broke his fucking jaw. But this is how you know Colby's such a warrior. Sorry about that. There was a little bit of an interruption, but computer been tripping. But yeah, like I was saying, man, Colby, man, he went to war, bro, in that 4th round, and with a broken jaw, you know, and he gave it to Usman. He gave it to him bad. Like, you know, and that's the thing, man. There's sparring clips out there, Gilbert and Usman, and they're kind of having these similar exchanges. And it's 16-ounce gloves, and it's a lot different when you have 16-ounce gloves, right, than you have 4-ounce gloves. And if Gilbert, and again, I'm saying this, if he can get these kind of moments out of Usman, really, Gilbert has to, you know, he has to get this kind of fight. He has to be paying attention to what Colby did, and he has to get it out of him. And he, you know, it is what it is. But, I mean, you know, Colby, he tried his best, obviously, in that fight. In hindsight, I'm actually super proud of him, you know, how well he did. But it is what it is, you know. He had a great performance in the 4th and then the 5th round. And again, it's the stiff arm, you know, that stiff arm jab and that 1-1-2, and he got caught, and then he got hit with I think a rear not uppercut, hook, and then it was over after that, you know. It pains me. I was like celebrating after the 4th round. I knew we had won the fight, basically. That's how I felt, because I picked Colby, and Usman, he showed his championship medal, and I know most Colby fans hate him, and I you know, obviously there was some things I didn't like in the fight, you know, when Colby, you know, threw a legitimate body kick, and it got counted as a nut shot. Hey, it is what it is. Colby did poke Usman in the eye, if I have some Usman fans in the comments, so I will admit that. But you know, man, that was disappointing, bro. That hurt my heart. But Usman proved why, you know, he was that's when I started to really respect the guy, honestly. That was just one hell of a performance. But I do think, you know, if they do run this fight back, I think it will be also super competitive, and I think you could see a different result. But that's just my opinion. I don't want to say nothing. But and then, you know, Usman was gonna fight Gilbert, got canceled. Then he fights Jorge Masvidal. There's not a lot to really see from this fight. It was kind of like a bad performance on both guys. You know, Usman, I've seen him have better performance in this. I think he was a little timid to strike, and his transitions, like, that's what he was so good at, is transitioning from his 1-2 to his takedowns, you know. And he wasn't really able to do that in this fight. He kind of struggled. He was kind of like reactive instead of, like, you know, creating opportunities. But you know, he ended up getting the dub, man. He got, I think, 5 takedowns in the fight. The clinch, man, he dominated in the clinch, man, and he did great there. And that's something to really look at. But if we look at Gilbert Dorino Burns, man, obviously Usman looked good against Jorge. I don't want to be an asshole, but I'm just saying I wasn't too impressed. I was more impressed with the Colby performance, especially in that 5th round. I think DC said it best. You know, in the 5th round, that's how you defend your fucking belt. That's how you defend your belt. You know, but obviously I went to look at Gilbert fights with Dan Marat. I saw the Dan Marat fight, and if we look at that fight, actually, Dan, I think he did have the same reach, but he was the same height as Usman. So he had like a 1-inch reach advantage. So it wasn't really too big of a, you know, I wouldn't say like height difference, or not height difference, reach advantage. And so that's how kind of Gilbert was able to knock him out. But in terms of like the, you know, the length and it was very, I saw kind of like a Usman kind of matchup basically, and the way he dealt with him. But Usman did, you know, I don't want to say Usman, Dan Marat actually had some, you know, some success with using his jab, you know, using his 1-2. but he kind of got caught, especially by those hooks, man, especially. And he got messed up, man. He got messed up in the corner and got flattened out. It was pretty. I felt bad for the guy, and he took it on short notice, you know. But it is what it is. But then, the 5 fights I ended up looking at, I started off with, his fight with Mike Davis. Obviously, I know there was some more fights in between the Dan Morant and the Mike Davis fight, but I looked at the Mike Davis fight, looked at his last 5, so that was my decision. I mean, Mike Davis, I'm super high on Mike Davis. He's such a fun fighter to watch. Oh my God, man, the guy's he's a killer, man. He is a killer. There's not a lot of guys that can get scholarships to Tiger Muay Thai come out of the States, man. He is a murderer. He has great boxing. He's great Muay Thai. He's great striking. He's great wrestling. He's just really good at mixing everything up. But Gilbert just shut him down. Like, Davis had some moments. Davis, he connected with a right hand, and, he had good moments, but, man, I mean, Burns, his calf kicks, his body kicks, the way he threw that body kick at him, like, I'm not gonna be able to show give you guys the sound of the clip, but make sure to go rewatch that fight and just listen to how hard. Obviously, they say, the louder the kick is, it doesn't really hurt that much, but man, that was impressive. I thought that was impressive, and I was impressed. He was able to take him down and have so much success, and then submit him. That just showed you, like, Mike Davis is a good he's been wrestling for 10 years. He said in interviews, he's an accomplished guy. Obviously, that was, I think his debut. So it's kind of hard. He has Contender Series fight against Sadiq Yusuf, and then a fight with Dorino Burns. Like, that's kind of, that's a lot to ask for. But he was a legitimate prospect. He showed a lot of ability, and he looked amazing. And Dorino, he took him out of there in the second round, submitted him, had him tapping out, and he looked amazing. There's not a lot you can really tell from this fight, man. In terms of, like, kind of relating it to Usman, he just looked amazing in there. He did good against a wrestler. And then, his fight with Alexei Kunchenko at the time. Kunchenko was 20-0. Gilbert took this fight on short notice, and it was his first fight at welterweight. I mean, he looked amazing in there. Y'all, I'm going to get a new computer, y'all. I'm so sorry for this. But, yeah, like I was saying, Alexei Kunchenko is his first fight at welterweight. It is what it is with this fight. Gilbert looked amazing. He was able to, his striking looked so good, and his transitions from his hooks to his kicks, and his kickboxing, his Muay Thai, his boxing was just all great. And then, obviously his grappling is always great, and his wrestling was amazing. The way he was able to take him down, but he got caught with some calf kicks. He got dropped actually in the third round with calf kicks, which was actually kind of interesting. But man, it is what it is at the end of the day. With this, Kunchenko, he hasn't. I was kind of disappointed when he fought Zaleski dos Santos. I thought he would have had a better performance there. So the win kind of diminished. But at the time, man, it was gangster to accept that fight, though. I will give him that. It really was. But then he fights Gunnar Nelson, and this is super interesting to look at. His fight with Gunnar Nelson, it should raise some eyes with, everybody, right? Because he had good moments in there. I thought he looked good in the fight. His takedown defense was good. His ability to take Gunnar down was good. I was impressed with that. But Gunnar's success in the clinch was alarming. If Usman is known for his clinch work, and if this doesn't kind of raise eyebrows, he had so much success against Gilbert in the clinch. He was able to keep him there. Now, he didn't do any work, but he was able to keep him there. And imagine if somebody like, Kamaru Usman, and obviously I know it was on short notice, right? So I give him a break. But if he's able to keep him in the clinch and just put in work, and just, put on them foot stomps, right? He's going to have some success against Gilbert. This just seems like Gilbert's a little bit of a kryptonite. But besides that, he looked amazing. It was kind of like 1-1 going in the third. He ended up clutching it out with that big takedown he got in the third round. It was impressive. It was a good fight, man. It was a good fight. Two good grapplers going at it. It was fun to watch. But next up, what he did to Damian Maia. That was sick, man. He had great moments, and then Damian Maia tried to take him down. He was able to scramble up. He looked amazing in there. I can't be too mad at it. It was a good performance. He looked good. Gilbert, I mean, this is when he started peaking, right? And obviously, there's a question, is Gilbert as good as we think he is? Obviously, with the crowds are gone, right? And kind of like no crowds. And he's had, basically some of the best performances of his lifetime. Sorry, I couldn't talk for a second. But, it is what it is. He ended up catching Damian Maia with that fucking hook, man. Again, man, that left hook, bro. It's money. It really is money. Like, I was shocked. I don't know who I picked, actually, for that fight. Let's say I picked Damian Maia, right? I think I picked Durinho, but let's say I picked Damian Maia, right? For him to just go out there and, put a performance on Maia like that. Like, hey, man, Liam Good couldn't do that. Anthony Rocco Martin couldn't do that. Like it tells you he separated himself from the pack when he just did that. Ben Askren couldn't do that, but Ben Askren's out here boxing YouTubers now, so makes you think about that. But back to Gilbert, he looked amazing in this fight, and this is what catapulted him to his main event fight night with Tyron Woodley. I'm sorry, I don't want to call him Tyrone. If you remember earlier in this video, I had said, Tyron, fought his heart out against Usman. And then I went back and said, no, there's a reason why I said that. Is because Tyron actually fought his heart out in this fight and got broken. He tried. Go watch that fight. He tried, man. He didn't show up for a check. I honestly don't believe. I feel bad when people say that about Tyron. I don't think he's showing up for a check. I think he's just been figured out and has just been losing a better competition. But this one, I don't know where to start, man. Like, what Gilbert was able to do in the center of the octagon, getting Woodley in the kind of like in a clinch position. He hurt him with a right. Woodley had his hands super low, which I was like, come on, Woodley. But kind of low-key, a little disrespectful. And then just getting caught, and then just for fucking Gilbert to keep his fucking neck and just keep punching him until he falls on the ground, knocked him down, hurt him in the first round. Oh my God. Fucking busted him up, gave a vagina in his eyelid, right? Like, that was nuts, man. Like, he looked amazing in there. You gotta respect it. But, obviously, that's just not it. He did more in that fight, man. His takedowns, especially one of his blast double legs he got, he just, and that was a good thing about this fight was that he let Tyron know. This is not just kickboxing. We're not just boxing. This is MMA, and I'm gonna take you down. And he took him down. He took him down twice. Almost, man, had him a lot of bad positions. He went for a Darce and then an Anaconda. Like, he was going for it against Woodley, man, and he just looked amazing in there, and he controlled Woodley in the clinch. Like, Woodley just was stuck, man. He was stuck. And Woodley tried, y'all. He tried. He really tried. He didn't want to give up in that fight, but he made him give up. But obviously, I've talked about their fights, a whole bunch, but let's really talk about the biggest fight is them fighting each other, Usman and Burns. Here's the way I can really see Burns winning. I really can see Burns, obviously being really smart, kind of implementing what Colby did, kind of using his lateral movement, kind of trying to jump in, cutting space, cutting angles. Don't let Usman kind of dictate the pace with the jab, the stiff arm jab. Don't let that dictate the fight, and don't let that irritate you. And just catch him with a hook. He is susceptible to getting hit with that. We've seen it in the Colby fight. He got stunned. I don't know how good Usman's chin is. That's another thing, right? And I can see him having success there. in the center especially. Like, he needs to do everything in his fucking power to keep the center of the octagon. If he gets stuck anywhere near the cage, it's wrap. It's a wrap, right? If he can maintain that, he can maybe drop Usman, get on the ground, and submit him. I can really see that. I can see him hurting him. I can just, if you watch some of the sparring clips, I'm not going to show it here, but I think they're all over the internet. You find it. There are just moments where they're trading fucking overhand for overhand, and obviously, like, well, Usman might have power, and yeah, he might. He showed he can finish people. I think Sergio Moraes, right, that guy, and then Colby, he finished Colby, right? He's shown that ability. And some people even think the Colby Covington finish was bullshit. I don't share that opinion. You know what, it is what it is. You know, he won that day. I'll let him have that win. I'm not too petty, but you know, but the thing is, with Burns, you know, I just think he has more pop, man. You can just see the way Tyron Woodley got hit by Usman, and you can see the way Gilbert hit Tyron Woodley, and you see how it affected him. You know, it's a lot different, and it's not like Tyron fought other people. You know, he just fought them back to back, and you can see the reactions, right? You know, that's something to think about, and I think if he can do that and just obviously maintain the center, he can win the fight. Now, Usman, it's the clinch, and if you can see it in the fight against Woodley, like, even Gilbert didn't have dominant positions against Woodley in the clinch. Like, he kind of struggled. Like, they were kind of like going back and forth with who's keeping main clinch position near the cage, you know, and control, right? But Usman didn't have that, not once, with any of his opponents besides Colby, because they didn't really engage. You know, he had a good, like, Muay Thai clinch against Colby, but that's about it. You know, they never really engaged in that grappling area. Everyone else, and maybe Warley Alves too, but if Usman can walk him down with his stiff arm jab and throw the right and continue to do that, he will have success. And I think he could get a 50-45. Or we could see, and I would enjoy it, kind of like a combination of both scenarios where, you know, they do stay in the, you know, in the center of the octagon just landing blows, right? And Gilbert's having success. And then another round, we see clinch work from Usman, right? And then we could see something like that. It could be like a 3-2 for either guy. But I think Usman could really dominate this fight with the clinch. I think this is where this fight's going to be really, you know, projected at, is by the clinch. And I think Usman will win this fight by decision. I'm going by decision. I think he gets it done. I've always, you know, I have nothing against Durinho, but there's certain things about Durinho's fights I've seen. I'm not necessarily that sold on him, you know, at welterweight, man. He beat Damian Maia. Damian Maia's 40, you know? And I'm not trying to diss him. I gave him so many props, y'all. Y'all heard me. Tyron Woodley's 38, y'all. Like, like, those are his best wins. If you look besides that, it's Gunnar Nelson, right? And that Gunnar Nelson fight was close. I do not think Kamaru Usman versus Gunnar Nelson would be close. I have a lot of respect for Gunnar Nelson, but I just do not think that it would be that case. I think you're going to see somewhat of a similar performance that Usman put on Warley Alves that he did to Gilbert. I think it would just be more in the clinch, though. And just the variety he throws. And as much as I'm not a biggest fan of Usman, his mentality to never give up and to win is just on another level. I've seen Gilbert lose. I haven't. Usman has lost. He's been choked out before, but I've seen Gilbert get whooped on. Like, I mean, molly-whopped against Dan Hooker. There were moments in that fight where he could have took it to the ground. Dan Hooker went for a guillotine. And I know Dan got knocked out by Chandler, so, like, Dan's not that popular no more. And I know Gilbert cut down a lightweight, so I get it. Some people want to make that excuse for him. It is what it is. But there were moments in that fight where he was like, nah, I don't even want to go to the ground with this guy. I'd rather just stand and, you know, try my chance, even though he got dropped. You know? Like, I don't know how to feel about that, you know? Like, you're supposed to be better than Dan Hooker on the ground. You're supposed to be, you know, dominant there. You weren't. And you got fucked up. And then you got dropped. You know, I just kind of see that happening. I don't think he's gonna have success with the grappling as much. He has to be. It has to be a scramble. Basically, he has to sprawl and then go for a guillotine or just fucking airplane spin and get his back or something like that. I do not think he is gonna take Usman down. I think Usman could take him down if he wanted to. I don't know if he wants to do that, but I honestly, the striking is the only place, but I just see the clinch being the equalizer in this fight. I'm going Usman by decision. And another thing is, us Colby Covington fans, we want that fucking rematch. I don't want to fight. I don't want Colby fighting Gilbert. I don't, and maybe this might be a little biased, but we want that rematch. I know Colby can beat this guy. I guess you can say whatever. You broke his jaw and this and that, all that rah rah. And I get it. You're allowed to say that. But we want it, and he knows it. He said it himself on interviews that is my rival. That is the guy that pushed me to my absolute limit. I do not think Gilbert Burns is that for Kamaru Usman. Obviously, it is what it is. At the end of the day, we'll see. We will see on fight night who wins that day. We will see, the dynamic between. Obviously, they are. I didn't even bring that up. The fact that they are teammates and that Usman left his gym, the gym he was there before Burns. Let's let that sink in. Went to Denver. He might put. He might put a great performance on Burns. You got to think about that. Like, dude, that Masvidal fight was short notice for him too. I know everyone's talking about Masvidal 16. It was short for him. He was preparing for a completely different fighter. But you look at when Robbie Lawler fought, Tyron Woodley and stuff like that. You look at kind of situations like that, and I know that some people might be, I gotta go Burns, but you look at what that does to people and stuff like that. It makes people angry, and you make that Nigerian angry, that boy Marty angry. You might get something you don't like, and I just do not think Burns. He has a chance, though. I will say that. I don't want to be disrespectful, but I don't think he gets it done. It has to be. He has to do something special, and I don't think he can do it. But it is what it is. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to follow me on my Instagram. Don't forget to follow me on my Twitter. It's your boy eBay Fight Predictions. Also, subscribe, like, comment, share the video. Go click the notification button. Click all notifications so you get all my videos. Everything, my breaking news videos, my predictions, my breakdowns. I put a lot of work into this channel. I love y'all. Goodbye. Let's keep this channel growing. eBay Fight Prediction Nation. Let's keep it growing, y'all. Love y'all and goodbye.